now, right? Or red.
Yellow is power in, and then red is power out.
So we want to hook to red to check for power out. So when I'm trying to crank it over, it should have power out, right?
Absolutely.
0.2, 0.1. I guess I'm not getting any output.
And how about going in?
To the yellow, yes.
So you got power in, but no power out. So either the fuel cutoff sensor is tripped, or it's bad. It's that simple, 100%. And if it's, I assume that you've already checked this and make sure it's not tripped. You said something about it being broken. It sounds to me like the sensor's bad.
What's my upload? I'm gonna upload a picture for you and show you.
But the fuel cutoff sensor is not going to prevent the engine from having spark.
Right.
So there's something else going on too. You got more than one problem.
Yep.
Do you have engine RPM on your scanner while cranking?
That's a good question. I can hook it up and see. I don't have a great scan tool, I'll tell. It's like a basic.
All we need to do is just read live data.
I get that info.
This is what it says to check the fuel cutoff switch. Check the voltage supply to the fuel pump while cranking. The fuel pump will not operate when the key is turned on or off. The engine must be cranked. If there is no voltage, check that the fuel cutoff sensor at the passenger side of the engine compartment has not been tripped. There should be battery voltage on the yellow wire during crank, going into the sensor, and also should have battery voltage coming out the sensor to the fuel pump on the red wire. When the engine is cranked, battery voltage showed up at the fuel pump. The fuel pump is faulty. So this is just a case study, but you gotta have power going through that sensor.
Right, it's doing it. And now, just a few more seconds.
This thing's got a tachometer on it, doesn't it?
Yep.
Does the tachometer show anything when cranking?
No.
Scope the crank sensor and see if it's still making a signal while the engine is dying. If it should still make a signal. If not, the crankshaft position sensor may be faulty. Verify the ignition failure sensor is not dropping battery voltage to the ignition coils at the same time, killing the tach signal. Oh, that's interesting.
Definitely had the crank sensor off. It's all one, the cam and crank sensor. I definitely had it off in a box. And it's been off and been probably thrown around. Not really thrown around, so it's not bad, but it's been moved around a good bit.
Wait, the cam and crank sensor are the same on this one?
Yeah. No, they're on the same harness.
I was going to say, have you checked? There should be a 3-wire sensor each, right? Or are they 2-wire sensors? No, they're 3-wire sensors. So they're going to have either a reference voltage. Oh no, they got battery voltage going to them. So if we haven't checked from the engine fuse, it's a 10 amp engine fuse in the relay block behind right end of dash. There's a blue wire that comes down. Wait, I'm sorry.
I checked that fuse. That fuse is good. It's 10 amp engine fuse. Yeah, number 24. Yes, I checked that. That actually 24.
Hang on a sec. I apologize. I think I'm wrong. I'm reading this diagram wrong. Hang on one second here. Let me go back. So there's a green wire. What is this green wire? It does look like battery voltage. So I think the power comes on the green wire. But either which way, one of these wires going to the cam and crank sensor need to have battery voltage.
I'll check that next. I'm trying to look.
Blue.
You're teaching me something new with the scope and with the live data. I've used live data before. I know how to use it, but
It should display about 200 engine RPM while cranking.
And that's gonna let you know.
I think it comes directly from the crank sensor, but I don't think that alone tells us if the cam sensor is good or not. And I think the computer needs to see the cam sensor on this particular vehicle in order to fire spark. But now I think we also got the ignition failure sensor, and somehow we got to factor that in. But before we do anything, just check power and ground, go into our cam and crank sensors. And what you can do is you can backprobe the signal wire from either of these sensors, and you can key on engine off, just rotate the engine by hand using a breaker bar, and it should produce an on-off square waveform as the engine is rotating. You can see this with a voltmeter. You know, if you just turn it over slow by hand with a breaker bar, it'll probably show 0 to 12 volts, maybe a 0.5 volt square waveform. Something. We should see something.
I'll do that one next. So I'm on live data now. So what are you wanting to see on that?
Engine RPM, about 200.
Engine speed RPM?
Just crank it over. It should show about 150, 200 RPM while cranking.
113 is the highest it's going.
Okay, well, 113 or so. So we got at least something. That doesn't tell us. I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think that comes. That's not going to tell us if the cam sensor is good. Some vehicles only need the crank sensor to run, but I think on Hyundais and Kias it needs cam and crank sensor. So maybe it sees a crank sensor, but maybe not the cam sensor. So we could check the cam sensor signal, and don't forget about that ignition failure sensor. I have to do a little digging on that one. It's been a while since I've come across that. I figured how that plays a factor into Spark here.
One more thing before I get on lab data. It does have ignition timing advanced for cylinder 1. It's BD.
No, I was just going to say, I've never once ever found ignition timing to be helpful. I don't think it's because the engine's not even running. So we don't have a timing problem. We have a no spark problem, so I wouldn't even look at that.
But I did do the timing on it, and the timing is right from my hands. I had someone come over and verify. But all right, let's get to the next.
I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you. It sounds like you're really far away or the phone's really close. I'm having a hard time understanding what you're saying.
I'm sorry. All right, so I'm up under the hood now. I'm going to check the cam and crank sensors.
Yep.
Does it matter which one first?
No, it doesn't matter. I would probably go to the cam sensor since we got some sort of signal from the crank sensor. We don't know if the signal's good, but at least we got something coming from we're looking for one of these sensors that aren't going to be able, that's not producing anything. That would be ideal. But we know we got something back at the computer from the crank sensor, so I'd probably check the cam sensor next.
So I got to both probably.
Just turn the key on and check all three for voltage. I think it's going to be a green wire. If I'm reading this right here. This is going to be our ground. This is going to be our signal. So I think it's a green wire. There it is, 12 volts. So we should see the cam sensor signal probably going to be...
I got 12 volts, and in the middle here on the black wire...
It's a ground. So it's going to be the blue wire. It's going to be our...
Blue wire.
So if you plug it in and back probe the blue wire, as the engine rotates, you're going to get an on-off. You should get an on-off signal on this wire. And then if you do, you're going to call me back and you're going to say, oh, this check's so good, now what? So then what we're going to do is we got to go back to the computer and we got to find that pin. It's a blue wire on, looks like pin number 10, connector B. B01B. Pin number 10 is going to be our cam sensor signal. So we got to make sure that whatever we're seeing, if the sensor's producing a good signal while cranking, that the same signal is going back into the computer. That'll make sure that we don't have a wiring issue. And if that does check out good, well, then maybe we can check this ignition failure sensor, I suppose, somehow or another.
What color am I back probing? The
blue. It's the same color wire, my friend.
So it'll be the
blue.
Black one.
No, black's the ground.
So the blue has 5 volts.
Yes, that's correct. So that's actually our signal wire. So we have a reference, which is going to be the green wire we talked about. That's our battery voltage. So the signal wire, the computer will put a 5 volt, will send a 5 volts out on that circuit, key on, engine off. That's normal. So when you plug it in, the sensor should pull that voltage to ground as the engine is rotating. So it's the blue wire back at the sensor and at the computer.
So back probe the blue wire is what you're saying?
Yes.
And what should I see?
Remember, we just talked about an on-off square waveform. Some sort of on-off 0 to 5 volt, 0 to 10 volt, 0 to 12 volt on-off as the engine is rotating. Key on, engine off, you're going to rotate the engine by hand.
I'm getting on off, so the voltage is fluctuating. It's going to 1.8, 1.4. It's that one off as the engine's cranking over.
You're not cranking over by hand, are you?
No, I cranked over with the ignition. You want it by hand?
Well, that's what I said. Because, listen, your voltmeter is not going to be fast enough to get you a good reading unless we're using a lab scope. Then we can crank it over using the starter. So maybe we got an issue with this ignition failure sensor. So you can, if this signal checks out good, I'm just pulling up a diagram here. You might want to go to this ignition failure sensor, make sure we got battery voltage here.
Is that right here on top of the intake?
That's a good question. Let me take a look here.
It is broken.
I was just here too. At top rear of engine, I would think this one would get.
This says ground ignition battery. It has 3 connectors in it. It has 3 wires. That's a red, a blue, a green, a black. On 4.
Are you talking about that at the computer?
Yeah. Well, no, this is on top of the intake here. That you said for fuel cutoff or the ignition.
Well, my suggestion was maybe we have this faulty ignition failure sensor causing a no spark condition. So that it says at top rear of engine it's got a 4-wire connector. It's going to have a green with a black wire. It's going to have a blue wire. It's going to have a black wire. It's going to have a red wire.
I'm right here at it. Unplug it.
The blue wire should have battery voltage. I would check it with the key on. And then the black wire should have a good ground, and red wire is going to get tied into the ignition coils. So I tell you what, I'm going to let you work on this, my friend. I'm going to let you go, and what I want you to do is reply back into the chat with the results.
The blue wire does have volts on. All right.
right.
And the next one.
Black wire, make sure it's got a good ground. I don't know what this green wire is. Very strange. Oh, wait.
Have a good ground.
Oh, that's your tack. Oh, that makes sense. So maybe that if the cam sensor is good and the wire back to the computer is good, maybe the ignition failure sensor somehow is shorting out this circuit, causing a no spark. If the wiring is good, I suppose. But
Ours look good. The harness isn't tore up.
okay. Well, let's finish checking the cam sensor, and then if needed, we'll hop back over to this ignition failure sensor. But let's make sure that the computer is seeing the cam sensor signal first. So remember, rotate it by hand, and you should see an on-off square waveform on that blue wire going into pin number 10. Looks like it's connector B01B. And then I'll talk with you soon.
All right, thanks.
All right, you're welcome.